The Electoral College is one of the checks and balances in the United States. Specifically, it acts as a check on voters during the presidential election. The Electoral College elects the president and vice president every presidential election. The Electoral College was approved by the Constitutional Convention in 1787. Small states favored the Electoral College because they thought that the large states would control the presidential elections without it. Since 1787, the Electoral College has evolved into the process that we use today. The 12th Amendment provides the process of electing the president and vice president, the Electoral College. Each state is given a number of electors. This is determined by the number of its U.S. senators plus its U.S. representatives. States with larger populations will have more electors because they will have a greater number of U.S. representatives. Members of Congress and federal employees are not allowed to be electors so that the balance between the legislative and executive branches remains unharmed. Political parties send their candidates to the state's chief election official. After their caucuses and primaries, the major parties nominate their candidates for president and vice president in their national conventions. Candidates must have 270 electoral votes to win. The popular vote in presidential elections reflects the percentage of people that vote for each candidate. Sometimes the winner of the popular vote loses the election. An example is the presidential election of 2000. Al Gore won the popular vote, but George Bush won the electoral votes, which led to his presidential inauguration. The individual votes of citizens do not elect the president, the electors do. On October 30th, Obama was leading with 280 electoral votes while Romney had 235. At this point, there are a few states that are tied. From this chart, you can see which states support which political party. California is almost always heavily Democratic, which is a large addition to Obama's electoral votes with a total of 55. Texas, along with a big portion of southern states, is Republican. This is most likely because of the Republicans' negative stance on gun control. At this point, Virginia is one of the states that are tied. However, Virginia has gone red in the last few elections. On November 2nd, several days before the presidential election, Obama had 281 electoral votes and Romney had 215. There has been a significant increase in tied states. Several states have changed positions. Just a few days ago, Colorado was barely Democratic, but now it is barely Republican. Minnesota's Democratic support has increased. Florida switched from being slightly Republican to being tied. The final electoral vote results from the election name Obama the winner with 332 electoral votes, while Romney has 206. Colorado has switched the last time to the Democratic side. Florida ends up being Democratic, and Virginia also ends up being Democratic. Looking at the final results, you can see that the West Coast is Democratic, along with the northeastern coast. Large cities like Los Angeles, New York, and Miami have more liberal views. The majority of Mid-America is Republican. The graph looks like Romney has the most votes, but the states in the Great Plains do not have many electoral votes. New Mexico and Colorado likely went Democratic because of the high population of Hispanic voters that support the Democratic view on immigration. We have a representative democracy, which means that we elect officials to represent our best interests. We have the Electoral College to protect the liberty of the citizens.